Please tell me that I can't, that I won't, that I fail, that I'll never make it out, yeah. Please tell me all the bad, never good, fill my head full of every single doubt, yeah. Please say any negative thoughts, I pop off when I hear people say I cannot. I get off to the thought of proving everyone wrong, I won't stop to the top, so you better back off and get lost. I'ma stay loud, stay proud, never running out, never heading south. I'll be spreading out, call it word of mouth, can't put me down, I'll be getting loud. You can have your doubts, not what I'm about, have your f***ing cloud, it be raining now, I keep making sound, go another round, I'm legend bound, can't stop me now.
You don't wanna fuck with me, a slow burn like a disease. Just tell me that I can and I'll show you things that you couldn't believe. Just tell me that I can. Just tell me that I can. Just tell me that I can. Just tell me that I can.
All right, everybody, man, welcome to Unscripted. It's just me tonight, so lots of audience participation would be duly appreciated, so I don't talk to myself all night. But, man, what a time to be alive, man. You know, Hamlin is doing quite well, and it's just good to see that young man, you know, FaceTiming his friends, FaceTiming his colleagues, FaceTiming social media. You know, God is amazing. God is so amazing. I'm glad he is back to doing, to at least be able to acknowledge us and talk to us and then get a game plan for where he goes next. I tell you, I don't care if the guy ever plays football again. I just want him to be able to live a normal life. And, you know, if he decides to hang it up and go into broadcasting or whatever the next move for his career is, you know, hey, who am I, right? So I wish him all the best from where he goes now. I'm just curious, as now that we know that he's okay, what is going to be the ramifications of them not playing or not resuming the game in which he was hurt in, the Bengals and the Buffalo Bills? Now it's going to be up to a coin toss, a neutral site. I think it takes Buffalo, could have possibly had the number one seed. Now it looks like Kansas City, with the win over the Raiders today, is now going to actually take that number one seed. And I think that's going to come back to hurt Buffalo in the near future, because I don't know if Buffalo has enough in the tank or enough in this team to take out this Kansas City Chiefs. I think we all know what Kansas City brings to the table. We know what Patrick Mahomes brings to the table. They went in there and destroyed the Raiders today. I think the final score was like, 35-13. Stidham, you know, he looked okay, but he definitely was throwing some interceptions. He never quite got that passing game 100% going. Waller had a phenomenal catch in the end zone. I don't know if y'all caught that. Had a phenomenal catch in the end zone, but just couldn't get that left foot down. And unfortunately, they took the touchdown away from him, and it hurt my fantasy value. But it is what it is. In Stidham, we trust? I don't think so. Where did the Raiders go from here? What did they do? Hey, this is Jay McLovin, man. You can follow us on Twitter. And Unscripted Guys, all one word. Unscripted Guys, all one word. And you can find us on TikTok at Unscripted Sports, all one word as well. So, yeah, man, catch us there. Like, subscribe, share, comment, all that good fun stuff. I've got a limited supply of Jack tonight, so we'll see how far that takes us. Well, nothing better than a good cup of Jack Daniels. But yeah, man, let's get into the show, guys. Let's get into the show. Let me bring up my crowd here. Bam. And then we'll come over here. Bam. Hey, I did want to touch one more thing on the Damar Hamlin scenario. Let's give some massive shout outs to Denny Kellingston, the assistant athletic trainer for the not for the Denver Broncos, for the Buffalo Bills. He was first on the scene, his first to give CPR. He was the first one to get the heartbeat restored back in Hamlin. And I'll tell you, the guy that probably makes the least amount of money on that team was probably the most important person in Damar Hamlin's life. And I think we got to give a massive shout out to first responders, these assistant trainers, and everything that they do, because if it wasn't for them, there would be no DeMar Hamlin and there would be no us when we need them. So massive shout out to first responders and massive shout out to Denny Kellingston. What an amazing job you did. And I know that the Hamlin family are so grateful for what you did for their family. Turning to another gentleman, ex-running back from the Cleveland Browns, I believe also the Broncos and the Giants, former running back, played at Arkansas, Peyton Hillis, as you know, is another football player or ex-football player in this case that is in ICU after he did a rescue swim for a family member that needed help in the water down there off the Pensacola, I believe it is. Yeah, Pensacola, Florida coast. So again, he went out there, he risked his life. He was able to get that family member home, and now he's in critical care. But it looks like he's going to pull through. It looked like he may have had some lung damage and maybe a little kidney damage, but it looks like he's going to pull through and be just fine. But again, what an amazing hero, right? I mean, I know it's his family, and who's not going to do it for family, but just the fact that he risked life and limb to save this individual. It just restores my faith in humanity and all that we do. I'm telling you, man, we need more of that. More people like Peyton Hillis and Danny Kellingstons in the world that are out there helping other people when they need them the most. Man, all right. So then we kind of turn our attention over to the Milwaukee Brewers clubhouse. I don't know if you guys are following what happened out there in Milwaukee, but apparently a fan was at a doubleheader. They were playing a doubleheader against the Giants, and I believe it was a December game, or at least it was reported, I believe, on December 14th, that this gentleman was outside the stadium, gets drunk, had about 10 beers, they said, had about 10 beers in his system, and gets drunk, passes out in some bushes next to the clubhouse entrance, and then wakes up, goes to the door to the stadium, jerks on it until finally the door was pried open, found his way into the locker room, and then proceeded to take everything that he could fit into a duffel bag. And apparently that included electronic items, autographed bats, autographed baseballs, other memorabilia. It looks like iPods and headphones, computers, laptops. I mean, this guy was in there for a hot minute to be able to take a whole duffel bag worth of crap back to his place. And oddly enough, the one that turned him in, he takes the Uber from the stadium to his place of residency, gets the duffel bag into the house, and then his roommate sees all this Brewers memorabilia stuff in this duffel bag, alerts the police, says, hey, I've got all this Brewers stuff over here, and then finally the guy ends up going to jail. What a time to be alive. When the roommate sells you down the river, what a time to be alive. I wonder if he's going to be held for that part of the rent. I wonder if he thought about that. So now he's going to have to pay all the rent, the guy that turned him in. What a time to be alive. What a time. Trevor Bauer gets sent off for a designated assignment. Basically, the Dodgers have said, I'm glad Trevor's back, but we don't want him. And since we don't want him, we're going to try to trade him. And if we can't trade him, then we're going to release him. How about you? But if I'm a team, I'm not worried about trade. I'm just going to wait till he gets released. And then I'm going to go scoop him up. Look, I know the guy has done some not so favorable things I wouldn't necessarily be proud of, but the guy can still pitch. He's still young enough. He only missed, a year and a half. He can bounce right back, throw a few bullpen sessions. He's right back in the mix, and he's going to help somebody's team get to the playoffs. I wonder which team that will be. Who will take the chance on Bauer? Possibly maybe the Red Sox, maybe the Phillies. Would not be surprised if either one of those teams takes a flyer on Bauer, and then maybe even the Orioles. The Orioles would definitely use some bullpen help. That would definitely help propel them. So maybe the Orioles chip in and go after him. I don't know. We'll see, man. But either way, Trevor Bauer is back on the market, fellas, and it's anybody's guess as to where he will go. All right. We're going to slide over, if we can, now into a little bit of NFL talk. 49ers get Debo Mitchell back for the playoffs in full effect. And where do they go from here? What does that now make the 49ers? We already knew the 49ers were going to be a dangerous team, but Purdy has stepped up and looked pretty nice. Pretty nice. And I'll tell you, where do they wind up? Where does this 49ers team, are they good enough to get to the Super Bowl? Can they beat the Vikings? Can they beat the Eagles? Can they beat the Cowboys? Whoever it is they may have to face. I don't think Tampa is going to last long in the playoffs. I know it's Tom Brady, and I know he does Brady-like things, but I just don't think this is Tom's year. And if it's not Tom's year, we'll talk in a minute. Where does he go from here? Because I don't think Tom's going to go far in this playoffs. I don't think Tampa's set up to go far in this playoffs. So, again, Debo and Mitchell are back. That means the running game is in full effect. That means now McCaffrey doesn't have to carry the whole workload rushing. He can then be used more as a passing third down back or things of that nature, or as a wide receiver or tight end. I mean, there's any number of ways you can use a Christian McCaffrey, just like there's any number of ways you can use a Debo Samuel. And when you got an offense that's that interchangeable, how do you know which way to play them? Do you play Debo soft and hope that he maybe will do a back or around the reverse, and maybe you get him on the other side off a reverse, or maybe do you play him tight because you don't want him to get past you? I mean, there's any number of ways you can play Debo, any number of ways you can play McCaffrey, but there's only one way that Purdy is going to come into that game, and I think he's going to come in all fired up because now he's got Kittle, Debo, McCaffrey, and a number of other people to throw that ball to. Ayuk. So I tell you, man, this 49ers team is going to be tricky. And I would not be surprised if the 49ers stumbling, bumbling, jumbling their way into the Super Bowl. Don't be surprised if that happens. On the flip side of that, what happens to the Raiders? We saw how bad the Raiders played today. We know that Josh McDaniels has a relationship with Tom Brady. We know that Tom Brady is on a one-year deal. So where does Tom go next year? Does he tie this still back to Tampa? Or does maybe Tom take a ride down to Vegas and jump on the Vegas train with Devontae Adams and company and ride that thing out? And if so, then where does Carr go? Because right now we know Carr has been put on basically furlough. He's out there relaxing in his apartment, staying away from the team. You know they're going to trade him, and now it's just a matter of where to. Maybe you do a Carr for a Brady swap. Maybe those guys swap teams. Maybe Carr will do better over in Tampa with a good set of wideouts and Byron Leftwich as his coordinator. I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of different ways they can play that. But one thing's for sure, I think Tom is going to be in a better situation come next year with the Raiders than I think he's done with Tampa. I think Devontae Adams, and I think that having Waller there, that big tight end, because we all know with a big tight end what Tom is capable of. Could Waller then be the new Gronkowski? Is he the new Gronkowski for him? Because with Tom and a big wide end target, that's where he made the majority of his Super Bowl rings is with Gronkowski catching those targets 5 or 10 yards deep into the end zone. That's where he made his living. So does that become a factor? There's a lot of things I think that makes the Raiders attractive to a guy like Tom Brady, who really honestly has maybe 1 year left in the league, 2 years. I don't know. This guy might play till he's 50. I mean, he seems to find the fountain of youth every year. So, and he's having a hell of a season, right? So, again, more to come on that. Next item up for bid is what about Sean Payton? I know the Broncos have asked the New Orleans Saints for permission to speak with Sean Payton, and that permission was granted. Now, he can't officially actually talk to him until the 17th. That's when the official talking period can begin. But I think once the 17th comes around, does Sean Payton take the job with the Broncos? And if so, where does Hackett go? Because, you got to imagine Hackett's probably not going to be back next year anyway. So what do they do with Hackett? Does he just get outright released from his contract? And if so, where does Hackett go from there? That's going to be an interesting thing to see how that all plays out. But I do believe if Sean Payton goes to the Denver Broncos, that great things can happen. I think Sean can turn that team around. He's got a pretty decent passing game there with Russell Wilson. Can he reinvigorate Russell Wilson's second half of his career and get him going again? And if so, then what does that mean for Judy and the likes of the running game? So lots of things to be looked at with Denver, but I do think Denver would be an attractive spot for Sean Payton to land. I think he would have enough cap space to work with, so if he wanted to bring in free agencies, and I think he's got some good draft picks if he wants to go out and get the players that he thinks he needs. Either way, I think Sean Payton probably will strongly consider that Denver Broncos job. I don't think the Cowboys are in a position to really talk to him right now. But I wouldn't be surprised if Mike McCarthy, if he bails out of this playoffs and the Dallas Cowboys fail to go to the Super Bowl, or I think if Dallas Cowboys fail to even get to the NFC Conference Championship game, if they fail to get there, I think McCarthy's out the door, which I think he should have been out the door about 2 seasons ago. And I think Keller Williams should have been right there with, or Kellen Moore should have been right there with him. But that's just me, folks. That's just me. What does Jerry Land do? Jerry's going to do what Jerry does. I think somebody needs to start checking Jerry a little bit. I think Stephen Jones needs to get in his daddy's ear a little bit and say, hey, look, I know you want this, all this power and all this whatever of the team, but it's not working, Pops. It's not working. We're okay. We're playing okay, but we're not where we need to be because we're not making the right choices. We're not bringing the right coaches to come in here and call the right plays. And it's up to you, Dad, to fix this. Or I think somebody maybe needs to start looking at taking over the team from Jerry, if there's a legal way to do that. But I think at some point, Jerry has to bring in either a GM or give up more control to Stephen Jones, if he hasn't already. Maybe Stephen Jones could be part of the problem too. I don't know. That's a whole other ballgame to look at, right? But either way, the way they're currently running with Mike McCarthy, I think the Cowboys might give the Eagles a run for their money, but I actually think we're playing I want to say we might be playing Tampa in the playoffs. Dallas might be going against Tampa, and if that's the case, then I think Dallas can take Tampa. Now, how far we go after we take Tampa, that's anybody's guess. I don't know, but I think if Dak can protect the ball and if Dak can limit the amount of mistakes that he's making, then I think at the end of the day, I think he'll be able to get the Cowboys where they need to go, because I think really the weakness in the Dallas Cowboys is Dak Prescott and his lack of being able to protect the ball. I think we all know that he's led quite a few interceptions this week alone. I think he's thrown 14, maybe 15 interceptions, if I'm not mistaken. Somebody fact check me on that, but I'm pretty sure he's around 14 to 15 interceptions deep right now into the season. And you can do that if you want to think you can get to the Super Bowl, and that's something he's going to have to fix in the play before he gets into the playoffs. But at the same time, it's the Cowboys. It's the Cowboys. When have we ever been able to right the ship in the playoffs? It seems, something always goes wrong, whether it be the play calling, whether it be the missed field goal attempt of when Tony Romo, all he had to do was kick the field goal and he bobbled the field goal. We lost the game. I mean, it just seems like somehow or another, there's a lot of bad luck there in Dallas. There's a lot of bad luck in Dallas. And for some reason, they just cannot seem to right that ship in the playoffs. Now, regular season Cowboys, we're great. We're great up until the fact then when you get to the playoffs, and then for some reason I think a different team shows up. Oh, Mickey Delaney, I don't have 2 Facebooks, but you may have gotten it from somewhere like that, man. I appreciate the love, though. Let me get this link over to Jonathan Mathis, see if Jonathan Mathis wants to come on this show. Jonathan, if you're watching the show, man, I just sent you the link. There he goes. Yeah, I just sent you the link. But all right, man. Hey, let's talk some more stuff, man. Hey, right now, Jaguars are going against the Titans tonight. Dobbs is the quarterback for the Titans. And I think their third string quarterback. He was actually brought in by the by the Steelers. And then he was ultimately picked up by the Tennessee Titans. Malik Willis is out. Obviously, Tannehill is done for the season. So now they're looking at this third string quarterback in Dobbs. And I don't think Dobbs is going to do very well against this Jacksonville defense. They have a pretty good pressurized defense. And I think Trevor Lawrence is going to kill them in the passing game. Trevor Lawrence has just been on fire lately. I think he's only thrown 2 interceptions since the last 2 months. He's only thrown like 2 interceptions. I think he's got 8 interceptions on the season as a whole, right? He's got somewhere around 21 or 22 touchdowns. So Trevor Lawrence in his first year with new head coach Peterson is just playing phenomenal. Just playing phenomenal. And I think as you see them grow together, I think we're going to see a brand new Jacksonville Jaguars team that a lot of us are going to take a lot more seriously as the next couple of seasons come on. He gets more season. And don't forget, Calvin Ridley, I believe, is going to be back next season. I think his suspension for gambling will be over with and he will be back. But tonight is pivotal. It's amazing that Jacksonville Jaguars went from last place, worst team in the NFL, to possibly tonight becoming division champs. Let me see. Who else did something like that? I believe the Astros last season were in last place, and they came out of last place to win the World Series. So, hey, look out for teams like this. They can be, these Cinderella type teams can do, I think they're going to do something phenomenal. And I think we're going to see a brand new era coming out of Jacksonville that's going to compete with the Burrows, the Herberts, the Josh Allens, and Patrick Mahomes, and Hurts, and all the rest of the young quarterbacks in the league. Watch out for this, gentlemen. So, yeah, we're going to turn our attention over now. We're going to get into a little bit of college football, and we'll talk a little bit of college for a hot minute. It is Stetson Bennett, one game away from being an all-time great. He is doing something not even Tim Tebow could do, and that's win back-to-back championships. If he goes into the game against TCU and he beats TCU Horned Frogs, that will put him at back-to-back championship wins. Let's see. That also makes him 28-3 for his career, making him the second winningest quarterback in SEC history. So 28-3, second quarterback in SEC history, possibly could get the back-to-back and join the elite company of a very few. I think there's only five teams, I believe, or five quarterbacks in the last 50 years to get back-to-back titles. 5 teams. Could Stetson Bennett join that elite company? Could he? I remember when Stetson Bennett got his first championship, I asked people, well, what do you think about Stetson Bennett? How far do you think he goes in the draft? I mean, what is the likelihood of this guy actually doing something? And a lot of people said that he might go 3rd round, he might go 4th round. I would not be surprised if Stetson Bennett goes 2nd round. But my question for you is this, not so much where he goes, because it doesn't really matter. Purdy was Mr. Irrelevant. Look what Purdy's doing. Tom Brady was drafted like 699 or something like that. And look what he's doing. Or, you know what I'm saying? or 6th round. I'm sorry, not 699. He was drafted in the 6th round, last pick, I think it was. And look what Tom Brady's done. So is Stetson Bennett going to be a starting quarterback for an NFL franchise? Or do you think he will just be a really good backup? Let's see. Let's think about that for a minute. The guy's 5'11". He's not even a prototypically tall quarterback. He's a prototypically short quarterback, more in the Drew Brees style of. Matter of fact, I think Drew Brees was even a little short. I think Drew Brees was around 5'7" or 5'8". So he's got a few inches on Drew Brees, but by and large, he's still a small quarterback by NFL standards. He's a small quarterback. Can this guy be the next Drew Brees? Can he do something phenomenal like that? I got to be honest with you. I don't believe so. I think Stetson Bennett is going to be a really good backup quarterback in NFL, but I don't think we're going to see Stetson Bennett as a starter in the NFL. Now, I could be wrong. Time will tell, but I will say this for Stetson Bennett, man. Jesus, man. Tarkenton, Stafford never won back-to-backs, never even won a single championship at UGA, and these are phenomenal quarterbacks that went on in the football. Of course, Stafford just came off that Super Bowl win last year, so you kind of know where they've done at the next level. But as far as UGA is concerned, they weren't all that. I mean, they were good, but they weren't back-to-back SEC or back-to-back national title champions. So that's something to be said. But again, Stetson Bennett has to still close the deal, and don't look past TCU. TCU is another team. I honestly think Max Duggan, however you say his last name, is actually a better quarterback than Stetson Bennett. I do. I believe he's got better grit. I think he's a lot more. I think he's tougher. I think his legs are stronger, and I think he's also got a really strong, accurate pass. I got to be honest with you. He's got the heart of a lion. How many times have you seen him come back? How did you see him play when he played against Michigan? And Michigan's defense is not a slouch defense. And TCU did not allow their running game, the smash mouth running game of Michigan, to whop them or control them. So having said that, don't look past TCU. I know they're considered to be a quote-unquote Cinderella team, but I think they're kind of slowly but surely shedding that Cinderella label as the season has gone along. I believe they've done that. And I think they played more ranked opponents than what Georgia or Ohio or Michigan have played. If you look at what their lineup looked like. I think they played 4 or 5 ranked teams, and I think Michigan, Ohio only played 2 ranked teams during this season, and I believe Georgia was right around the same. So keep that in consideration when you're talking about TCU. I think this team is going to be freaking phenomenal as things go along, and we'll see if they win that national championship come Monday. Now we want to talk a little bit about Michigan and Harbaugh. We've already kind of been talking a little bit about some of the other college teams. Let's talk about Michigan. We know that they lost again to TCU, and now we know that McCarthy, I believe his last name is McCarthy, is going to come back for next season and still continue to be the quarterback for Michigan. And Harbaugh, recently his name has been out there a lot. Talking with the Panthers. I think the Broncos were putting a presentation together to try to present to him to see if he wanted to come there. But Harbaugh has maintained all along that he does not plan to leave Michigan, that he was very excited for the upcoming season in 2023 and trying to get back to the national title game. So I do see Harbaugh in a Michigan coaching uniform come next season. However, and a comma. Don't you love that, Mel? However, and a comma. I love saying that. However, and a comma. There are investigations now going on with Michigan and Harbaugh. And there's different categories to the offenses. You have a level 1, a level 2, a level 3, and I believe a level 4. And I believe there's a level 5 in there. Level 1 being the most severe, level 5 being the least severe. And Harbaugh has been found on a level 1 charge, basically not cooperating with investigators. So apparently Harbaugh is not playing nice. He's not cooperating with the investigators. And if they uphold that charge or that offense against him, that level 1 offense, that means he will be suspended part of the season in 2023. Now, if he's suspended part of the season in 2023, what will that mean then for Michigan and their chances of making it back to the national title without their leader for however many games he gets suspended for? Number one. Number two, it looks like the program, the University of Michigan program, has been contacting recruits in the COVID-19 dead period, which you're not supposed to talk to any recruits during that dead time period, that dead zone period. And Michigan has been found to do so. And that carries a level 2 offense. And they have 4 level 2 offenses being investigated on Michigan themselves. And then Harbaugh has the one that is a level 1. However, whatever offenses that are found with the university will also be applied to Harbaugh because he is the head coach. And by NCAA rules, the head coach still bears the weight of any staff member and what that staff member's actions were. So he's basically guilty by association for whatever they do. So those level 2s and that level 1 all go against Harbaugh, just like the level 2 offenses go against Michigan. So keep that in mind. He's got a lot of things he's going to have to go through. I would not be surprised if they suspend him half the season or at least a good third of the season. Don't be surprised. And if that happens again, what does that do for Michigan? What does that do for the program? What does that do for their rankings? Will people enter the transfer portal because Harbaugh won't be there part of it? I mean, I don't know. I'm just saying there's a lot of things that could potentially happen or be a fallout from this. So we're going to have to stay tuned and see exactly what the NCAA levies out as time goes on. But it's not looking good for Harbaugh right now to start off the 2023 season if he is, in fact, suspended. What a time to be alive. Jim, what were you thinking, Jim? Why aren't you cooperating? Are you hiding something, Jim? I always say for every 1 cockroach, you find 10 more. What's the other 9 cockroaches, Jim? What other 9 cockroaches are out there that the investigators are going to overturn and find on you? Maybe you ought to think about leaving college and actually going pro football, because then you won't have to deal with any of the consequences. That's just my observation, Jim. Do what you please. Moving on, we're going to talk a little bit about Billy Wagner. Should Billy Wagner be allowed into the Baseball Hall of Fame? Now, Billy played roughly 12 years of baseball. 9 of those years were with the Houston Astros. The rest of it was kind of spread throughout, I think, New York, Mets, and a couple of other organizations. I think maybe the Twins might have been in there. There's been a few other organizations that have had Billy Wagner's services. But I remember Billy when he would play his come out music was Enter Sandman. Whenever you heard Enter Sandman in the 8th or 9th inning, yeah, you knew Billy was coming to the mound. And Billy didn't play. Billy had that stare. And I think even Andy Pettit had that kind of stare. You know that stare where they just kind of look over their glove and they can look right through your soul? That's kind of how Billy Wagner was. Billy Wagner would almost look right through your soul. Almost like the picture right there. It's like he's just looking at you, daring you to hit his heater. And his heater got up around 103, 104 to the point where he had, I believe it was 1,174 strikeouts. Now, remember, he's a closer. He's not a starting pitcher. So for the fact that a closer could get 1,174 strikeouts and only 293 walks as a career, and I believe his ERA for his career average was 2.31, and he had 7 All-Star appearances. Now, I don't know about you folks, but the man had 422 saves with a WAR of 27.7, and he was a left-handed closer, which is the creme de la creme. Everybody loves a good lefty. I think and I understand I'm an Astros fan, so y'all might call me a fanboy, but I do believe over the long haul of Billy Wagner's career that he does deserve to be in the Hall of Fame. We'll see if they actually put him in, but I think if you look at Billy Wagner's career and you look at the performances in which he's played and the things in which he's done, you're going to see that Billy Wagner was an exceptional player. He's like 52 years old as of right now. So I do believe he does get inducted into the Baseball Hall of Fame. By the way, find us on Twitter at Unscripted Guys. If you want to catch more up-to-date information as it comes out, Frankie the Yankee is really good about doing our Twitter. He's really good about keeping us updated on Twitter, as well as Logan is good with our TikTok. So y'all check them out for daily updates and breaking news items. But yeah, Billy Wagner, man, I think you need to let Pete Rose in too, man. It's time. I think it's time. I think baseball commissioner needs to say, you know what? It's time. Let's let Pete in. Let's let, Barry Bonds. Let's let, Roger Clemens, guys who really contributed a lot to the game of baseball. And I understand they did steroids, but everybody was doing steroids back then. We all know that. Everybody was doing steroids. So I say let him in, folks. I say let him in, and let's move on with baseball. And let's let Pete Rose have a little bit of glory before he heads off to meet the Lord. Because we all know that Pete isn't exactly young as springtime anymore. He is up there in age. So I'd like to see him be able to get that before he actually does leave the earth. God, what a time to be alive. Wow. Will the Mets walk away from Correa? Yeah, I think they will walk away from Correa. I think they should walk away from Correa. I know Stat Guy said it on the morning show, and I'll just kind of reiterate. When he was in the minors back in 2014, he shattered his ankle. They put 2 plates in his ankle, and it caused him to be out the year. Now, those plates are only good for 10 years. Well, he's been in the league right at about 10 years. So those plates are going to have to be changed out again, probably within the next year or two. Those, if not already, they need to be changed out. And that's going to be him. That's going to put him on the DL for at least 1 year. So you're looking at, if he gets that surgery this year, you won't see Carlos Correa back until 24. And then after that, you'll only see Carlos for about 9 years after 2024 before those plates have to be brand new plates have to be put back in. And I think at that point, he'll be 39 anyway, and I don't think he's going to be wanting to compete. So I think with Carlos Correa, you're going to have to lose him for 1 year to get that surgery fixed. And then after you lose him for the year, you don't know how much time he'll miss in the off seasons throughout that 9 years. We know that Carlos Correa has been on the injury list quite a few times in that 10 years that he's already played baseball that I can know of. So I think teams are, and especially the Mets and the Giants, yeah, they're running scared. I would run scared too. Why am I going to give 10 years to a guy that I might only get 8 or 9 years? And out of that 8 or 9 years, how much will I lose to him being hurt? So I think the Twins said that they would offer him, I believe it was 7 or 8 years at $285 million. No physical required. Just come on in. Come on in, Carlos. Come back to the land of Minnesota and these Twin Lakes, and let's make some more magic happen. Go on ahead if you want to, Twins. Give them that $285 million. You guys haven't been relevant in years, so do what you got to do. Mets, Cohen, I know you want to spend money on every Tom, Dick, and Harry that's out there that you can get your hands on, but I'm telling you, walk away from Correa. Walk away from him. No, in fact, run away from Correa if you're going to try to give him that 10-year contract. I wouldn't give Carlos Correa more than 5 or 6 years, knowing that I'm going to lose him 1 year. So if I give him 6, I'll get 5. If I give him 5, I'll probably get 4. And out of those 5 or 4 years that you do get, how much time will he be on the injured list? Because you got to imagine, as he gets older, he's already injury prone. I'm just putting some things out there. You got to know when to hold them. That's what Kenny Rogers said. You got to know when to walk away, know when to run. Yeah, you better run. You better run. I'm telling you. Do not stay with Carlos freaking Correa. All right, folks. Today was a short show. It's only me, damn it. There's not a whole lot of people. You just get Jay McLovin. I hope you've enjoyed hanging out with me, hanging out and talking sports. Looks like right now we're at 2 minutes and 10 seconds left in the first quarter, and it's still 0-0, and the Jaguars have the ball. So it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out. I'm really hoping the Jaguars pull off this win. I think it's a great story, and I really would like to see how far Trevor Lawrence can take this team into the playoffs. But again, Mr. Hamlin, I'm so glad you're fine, man. I'm glad you're making improvements every day. I'm glad that, you're going to be a testament to people who can overcome anything. And it's such a joy to see you talking with people. And I will tell you, man, think long and hard about what your next decision is. But whatever it is, those of us here will support you, and we're behind you, and we got your back, man. And we appreciate all the things and all the well wishes that have been sent to Mr. Hamlin. It's amazing to see people when they come together. And sometimes in tragedy or tragic-like situations, that's when people really come together and form a bond. And yeah, man, it's good to see him doing well. Mr. Ellis, Peyton Ellis or Hillis, continue to recover. And again, another hero that is out there saving lives and doing the right things. And you can't praise these people enough. But all right, man. Hey, this is Jay McLovin signing off from Unscripted. And you guys have a good night. And we will see you bright and early Tuesday, baby. Tuesday with another edition at 7 p.m. of Unscripted. Y'all be good. Jay's out.